Hello, everyone. I'm Chester44, also known as Falai, and welcome to this Let's Play of In Other Waters. Last episode was a collection spree as we gathered a bunch of samples that we didn't happen to have yet. We've now basically done a full examination of most, if not all, of the creatures that we happen to have, I think. Yeah, I think we do basically have all of them that we've discovered so far, which is actually proving very effective. So we've been through... No, actually, there we go. So we've been throughout the western and southern forests, and we've been through these chasms, and we've been through this tendril garden. Now it's time for us to head north towards the Bloom, whatever that is. Can't be anything good, now can it? Let's head out and see. And we are going to need to boost and move quickly in order to get through here, because this boost only lasts so long. This massive split into the ocean seems almost too violent to be natural. Both sides are almost impossible to see from this center point. This pillar rising up from the ocean floor deep below provides shelter from the rift. There's something on the other side. A huge green cloud rising up from the shelf. That must be the Bloom. Less dramatically sheltered than the central reef, the northern shelf slopes down gently through layers of sediment. The green wall of a vast bloom of some kind rises up ahead, swirling and obscure. That looks worrying. What ecological crisis spawned this green mass? How is it connected to the reef? If the answers are anywhere, they are inside. Oh dear. The water inside is totally anoxic. The suit's rebreather can't function. We'll have to run on reserve oxygen while we're inside this place. So move quickly. The water here... Okay, get over to there. It looks like this is a safe spot. There's life still hanging on inside this toxic bloom, creating safe zones in order to thrive. Perhaps these creatures can help us learn how to exist in these toxic conditions. Let's take some samples and see what effects they have on the bloom when we deploy them. So that said, bulbous and shiny, these formations sit under a coating of green filaments and growths. The water here is both highly oxygenated and temporarily filtered of its toxic microbes by the fan. This fan sits among shards of rock, trembling in cyclical currents from the bloom. Pale fan. These fans seem to be reoxygenating the water. I'll start logging notes. They should be useful. These pale, delicate fans are almost bone white against the clouded green of the bloom. Occasionally, this fan shivers, releasing a flurry of green growths that have gathered among its gossamer spines. This gives us a small amount of oxygen. But small amounts are going to help immensely in here. We've got fan dust. Okay, we're probably not going to need a shrill sack, so a little bit helps. This bronze shell sits half buried in the sand. What creature lives inside it, and how can we tempt it out? There's some kind of shelled creature hiding in the silt over there. We need to figure out how to tempt it out of its burrow. Perhaps a sample from elsewhere in the bloom? Something that reacts with the microbial growth itself. I think I know. Here, the rocky shelf of the reef flakes away into large, fragile sheets with razor-sharp edges. A rise of silver silt fills the depression created by the corroded rock shelf. The tip of a shell pokes above it. Is that an eye? Away from the rock outcrops and fans, the visibility in the bloom falls to near zero. What if I do this? That worked. So we can push it out with that. The shattered rocks catch microbial strings drifting in the water, draping themselves in a shifting web of hair. Oh, I forgot to actually take a sample. Like stone tumors, these rounded rocks rise up out of the toxic green clouds. I forgot. We need more samples from this. On the plus side, now we know we can use these in order to create safe spots within all of this. There. The bloom is vast. What could cause and sustain these processes on such a scale? With the oxygen gone, the microbes here must be metabolizing some other substance in order to persist. The rear side of this fan, free of the green strings of microbial growth, has a pale ivory sheen. The burning clouds of the bloom roll across the rocks. The faint signature of a metal alloy, perhaps the remains of equipment Manet brought into the bloom. What was she doing here? These fans have to be filtering the water of the bloom to feed. Behind each one is a small area of clear oxygenated water. There's a faint fizzing that emerges from these fans. It appears to be caused by the coating of their spines reacting with the bloom. The microbial life of the bloom blankets every surface. What other life can survive in this toxic landscape? Through the green clouds, something bright glows up ahead. This looks good. Up ahead, the fizzing membrane of oxygenated water. Is that what allows the species here to survive this constant toxicity? Tucked into the ridge wall, this bubble is filled with oxygenated water, filtered through some unknown microbial process. To the south, the central ridge of the bloom reaches up, disappearing into green clouds of growth. Strange, glittering domes marked with ornate patterns of holes sit in the silt. Whatever inhabited them is long dead. Splitting the bloom, this vast ridge descends to the north, where it may be possible to cross. Protected by the sheer wall of the bloom's central ridge, these open nests flutter with the movement of their swarms. Within these complex, transparent structures, the blurred activity of many individual creatures can be seen. These must be nests. These swarms of bright creatures provide vital safe zones in the bloom. Let's start logging data on them. Well, we can salvage some things here. Something here. Sphere fragment. They resemble radiolarians, but far bigger in scale. They're incredibly ornate. A colony of shattered domes lying in the silvery silt. What were these creatures? I missed what she said before. Looks like this is the only thing we have here, but at least it's something safe. Hold on, I need to use one of these. These colonies do well to hold out against the bloom. The individual creatures seem to be able to digest microbial growth. We can use this. We should try deploying a colony to see if we can create our own safe zone inside this toxic flood. We likely can. Nest workers, tiny transparent creatures sampled from a woven nest. On the plus side, we found a safe zone. So heading south brought us to this. Bright pollen will give us more oxygen for a bit, but we gotta move quick. Rock here is mottled with dark patches as if burned by electrical currents. Rocks jut out from the green at strange angles. Traveling this deep in the bloom is like swimming through the interior of a vast green dome. The bloom is blindingly thick here, though to the southwest something glows between the microbial clouds. We've been to it. There, get there. Okay. These fans seem to grow close to the rocks, perhaps for shelter from stronger currents. These creatures bury themselves to hide from the bloom's toxicity, making them one of the few life forms that can survive in the bloom. In the rusted holes of the rock shelf, silt has gathered, forming a rare shelter for life in the bloom. Nothing but sharp rocks and green water. Yeah, at least we can gather more of these to get some extra oxygen. Seems to be a pass through here. Okay, another filtering fan. The thin streak of oxygenated water behind the fan shimmers faintly with traces of catalytic dust. Bloom fan is what we're calling them. I'm naming these bloom fans. When we finally get out of this place, I'll update the base's taxonomy logs. Pale, delicate fans that feed on the bloom by filtering it through their bodies, using a catalytic dust to counter its toxicity. Fan-like fins which can fold down, and a simple set of retractable eyes enable the creature to totally conceal itself within its shell. To the north, the bloom whips around in cycles of heavy growth, like a thunderhead forming. Eaten away by the bloom, this outcrop is marked with a patina of tiny holes. Silt has gathered around the base of this wide outcrop, and the signatures of life forms buried within it can be detected. There, that'll help. And we can gather 3 more of them. Fan dust at least helps. Among the green, I see tiny blue flashes, occasionally like flickering. Okay, nothing that way. There, another safe spot. Anchored to the flaking rock, this fan sways softly, dislodging clumps of green growth as it does. That helps greatly. We can salvage some more. The currents of the bloom grow stronger as I move away from the rocky outcrops of its southern side. When active, these creatures feed directly on the microbial growth of the bloom, rapidly clearing a patch of oxygenated water. Just for a moment. Okay, we're safe. A low silt drift provides just enough cover for a bivalve shell which peeks out from beneath the pale wave of sand, and green clouds drift above a rock floor honeycombed with holes. A reflected glow casts the shattered ground in a cool light. Within the protective barrier, the water is oxygenated and clear of microbial clouds. What chemical process is being enacted here? I've already seen one of these. Like the nests themselves, which are woven from transparent threads, the bubbles which protect them also seem to have a delicate skin. Within the open structure of these nests, swarms of glinting particles form shifting shapes. The ornate domes and porous spheres of these skeletons glint with the purity of their silica growths. So, we can get another one of these from here. A small construction drone from the base, corroded beyond use. What was Monet building out here? Okay, we found something. More nest workers. Okay, this is a power thing. Which makes a big safe area. A strange fizzing light provides a little comfort in this bizarre wasteland. There's another sphere fragment, which we can use here for something effective. Burnt out drone. This could be something useful. Or nothing. Beyond the bubble, the green clouds gather again. With the water sapped of all oxygen, what can be fueling this endless growth? That's what I kind of wonder. A little bit. Nothing but green water and broken rock. The shapes of corroded outcrops sit in the west like sleeping giants. Between the sharp rocks, a pale strip of sand leads on through the green. A fan-finned creature which conceals itself within a shell as a form of protection and when awoken feeds on the bloom's toxic bivalves. These strange little creatures are getting a big name. Bivalve bloom veins, what do you think? Sure. I like it too. We can log them into the taxonomy back at the base. Between these two rocks, a pile of shell fragments is gathered. A bronze one glimmers among the green. We could sample it. That's something new. Bivalve shell. Piles of silt have gathered up against these melted rocks, filling in the gaps beneath their strange, distorted hangings. I saw something over here. A jagged-edged split opens up in the rock shelf, a place for green clouds to gather. Layers of rocks stick out from beneath the silt, eaten away by the microbes of the bloom. Okay, we've been there. The rocks here blend into world shapes. What natural process caused this? Okay, that heads back. Let's get back to somewhere safe. Almost. Okay. Shards of rock with green clouds between turn the seafloor into a miniature landscape. Quick, get over there. We're getting low. Partially concealed among layers of rock, the span slowly undulates, releasing catalytic dust in its wake. Blue flashes flicker across the shattered strata of rock. A sickly pale green light filters down into the rocks. Fortunately, we can salvage. We can get a few more here, which we really need. Okay, so there's something over here. We've been from this direction. So head on back. We'll take a look north. Huge plates of layered rock make the floor here into a jagged pattern of something. The rock outcrops of this area are clogged with stirrings of microbial growth which dance in the slight current. Large bulbous rock emerges out of the rock floor. Silt gathers in the winding cracks that score its surface. Ghost of some equipment lies in the silt, one of the many traces of her visit. The nearby bubble sits alone in this vast plain, which means, I think, we've got another safe spot. Hurry! Okay. Oh, we just made it to safety. These beautiful, lifeless shapes, like a sculptor's abandoned works, gather around the way station, rocking gently in the current. Okay, we found something. When their protective bubbles begin to fail, these creatures burst from their nest to repair them, swarming out to weave more threads. The side of the bubble seems so close to the way station. If it were to shrink, any foothold we have in this green desert would be lost. It must have been a struggle to assemble the metallic cage of this way station so deep in the bloom. What led Monet out here? This nest is the way station's protector. Without its swarms of iridescent life, the station would be little more than a rust-eaten frame. From here, the bloom rolls out over the vast plain, scraped clean of sand by vicious currents. This is as far north as we will go. This fizzing border between the bloom and the oxygenated water within is a welcome sight. So we can go no further north. That appears to be the case. Well, I will use this. Actually, no. Why waste it? Finally, a way station. With this active, we can call for retrieval all across the bloom. Useful when we run low on oxygen. Open the terminal and we can resupply, and see if Monet left any map data behind. Power. Oxygen. It looks like we have to retrieve the map data. Okay, I've got our logs here. A lot of trips back and forth between here and a laboratory. That means she must have set up a remote lab somewhere deeper into the bloom. She spent months making trips to it, ferrying some materials from elsewhere in the bloom to there. She was studying something important to her. We have to find that lab. I'll log the coordinates on the dive map when we get back to base. Well, we could. I need to finish looking around here. There's something to the east to look at. There's little to observe this far into the bloom. You can see nothing. Green in every direction. In this northern part of the bloom, there's a little shelter from the storm of green. And then it goes back to this, which we've been to. Alright, back we go. Alright, back over this way. And I think we can gather up a sample from here. More nest workers, so we can at least have this. That appears to be all we can gather at the moment. Alright. Well, even though I want to find another one of these, because we still need to find one more, I'm going to have to end this episode here. Next episode, we'll go back to base, see what we can find out, and then come back and explore some more in the bloom. Looks like we've got things to find. That'll be in the next episode. So until then, I am Chestic44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of In Other Waters, and I shall see you all next time.